I gotta remove Dissidia and put in the past events. Okay. Final Fantasy VIII is debuting next week on Thursday. No, debuting is not the right word. It's just an event. It's going to launch, whatever. We get a new machinist ability. Cold Offer, which will most likely be renamed to Cold Offering or Freeze Offering. Whatever. It all sucks. And the ability itself sucks. 2 single target ice range physical and a medium chance of minor imperil. Uses major ice, black, and lightning orbs. It's a good thing it sucks. Because if it was good, that would cost us a lot of major ice orbs, and those are very valuable. So, it's the same thing as the lightning offering ability. Just an extremely low multiplier, and the benefit that you get instead of it not doing any damage is the fact that it has a 30% chance to apply a minor imperil to the boss, or whatever it is you're hitting. Yes, and Asherlock says, Cold Shatter this ability, which is what I will be doing to it, because that is the same thing that I did to the lightning version of it. Insta Shatter. Yep, there you go. So next up we have Kyros is a new character, and Ward is also a new character here. Kyros is a ninja? Combat 4, Celerity 5, Ninja 5, Support 4. Looks like a debuffing ninja. Dagger, swords, fists. Alright, you can use swords, that's enough. Shield, blah, 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 I don't care. Support level attack at 200 to attack. First we gotta get rid of the bloop. There we go. Low chance for don't give a shit. High chance for don't give a shit. Ninja damage plus 12% in his legend dive. That's pretty nice. Or sorry, record dive. I don't think he gets a legend dive. Well, he's a physical, but I don't think, other than Fusion, I don't think that there is such a thing as magical ninjas. Ninja damage 12% and record dive is actually really nice. We'll see if that actually plays out in any meaningful way when we see his slow breaks. Ward, Combat 5, Dragoon 5, Knight 3. So, Dragoon. 209 attack, relatively low attack. For a physical character of his stature. And a medium chance, I don't care. Unlock Knight 4, that's cool. Spear damage and Dragoon damage. Neither of which I like. So that's a bad record dive. Now we're looking at new legend dives. We have Laguna. Doubling up on the blind resists. That's good. And gun damage, 9%. That's fine. Trying to think of where we would run into a conflict there. And that would be if Laguna was being used with his BSB for dealing lightning damage. He actually has some choices to use plus lightning elemental relics for that. And there are no plus lightning guns. But The main strength of Laguna is his USB, which we're going to find out, which is ice. And I do think that there is an ice gun in the game. I think. Actually, let's go check. Because it's kind of important for, you know, what we're talking about. Too far. We do have a gun. It is Laguna's Ragnarok Buster, which is the USB in question right now. So if you get his USB, which is his strength, that is your plus ice gun. Well, the difference between Laguna and Renoa is Laguna actually has a really good lightning burst, while Renoa doesn't have a good earth burst. She has an earth super to pair with her earth's OSB, which is you know, it's passable, but it's not that great. Laguna can legitimately be a good source of lightning damage, as well as being an excellent source of ice damage. So I'm in on Laguna's Legend Dive, because the gun damage doesn't really hurt him. It's actually just 9% plus damage for his primary element. Like it. Edea, minor sleep, medium sleep. Really like it. Really like it. It's an off resistance, and it's a double up, which is good. And ice damage 9%, perfect. That'll affect everything that she does. Edea with her burst, ice damage. Edea with her USB, ice damage. The only difference between them is BLK versus Black Magic versus Witch, and this Legend Dive is great either way. I think where Edea runs into some issues is her Legend Materia, and we're going to see that. So I'm a little hoarse tonight. Zell. Minor blind, medium blind, fine. And fist weapon damage, 9%. This is exactly the same situation as Laguna. Because Zell and his USB is Fire Elemental. And his USB weapon itself is a plus fire fist weapon. So perfect. Great. Just what we like to see here. Oh my goodness, another one. Raijin. Double up on blind resist. Cool. And lightning damage plus 9%. I'm going to be honest. It's fine, I guess. Right? You got to give him something. I don't know. Raijin Super is just so much more powerful than anything else that Raijin does. And it's not lightning damage. It's support and utility. I wish they just ignored the fact that he's a lightning damage dealer at all and give him some kind of support and utility thing. I don't know what you could give him. I don't know, increased soul break generation. That would actually just be broken. But anyway. Legend Material, let's go check it out. Zell, physical attacks deal 10% more damage when equipping a fist weapon. Again, not an issue. The only reason that you're going to Legend Dive Zell is with his USB. His USB is probably the best fist weapon in the game. So, that's cool. That's 10% increased damage. Straight up. Zell's LM2, 30% chance to grant quick cast through to the user after dealing a critical hit. Very good. Very good now that I'm thinking about the way Zell's USB works. Zell is a chase, and he gains no cast speed modification. So all the damage, like his damage output over time, is based upon his chase and just dealing strong hits. So that makes reducing his cast times extremely beneficial. So that's really nice. And yeah, it's RNG Strider, but it's a 30% chance for Quick Cast 3. So if once it procs once, then you only need to have it proc one more time within the next 3 attacks to keep the Quick Cast chain going. And this Quick Cast will apply to everything, by the way. That's a flat Quick Cast 3. It's not a physical Quick Cast. So it will apply to Soul Breaks, it'll apply to RWs, it'll apply to Magicite, though I don't know why you would want to use your RW or Magicite with him. It's definitely pretty much just for recasting his Soul Break, his USB. Because I don't believe at this point, if you're using Zell's USB, you're not really using any of his other Soul Breaks, which kind of stinks, because they're kind of cool, just in a completely different way. He went from being like a Celerity quick casting non-elemental monk into a fire monk. I don't like what they did to Zell. I like how powerful Zell's USB is. But I wish they had stayed on target, like stayed on theme, and kept him up as one of the premier non-elemental damage dealers in the game. Just, you know, questionable things that DNA does sometimes. Next up, we have... who? It's Laguna, Edea, and Raijin? Yes. Laguna, machinist abilities deal 15% more damage. Good. 35% chance to dual cast machinist abilities. Good. Laguna has an excellent legend dive. That gun damage in both of these legend materia, fantastic. I'd go so far as to say this 15% increased damage from machinist abilities is better than his LMR. A rarity, it happens, but it's rare. Yeah, you have Master, but he's only one person. Why couldn't Zell also been a non-elemental damage dealer? Can we only have one non-elemental damage dealer in the game? I love both of these. I love this Legend Dive. Laguna's actually a really good character. At least so far. Let's see how good his USB is. Edea. Ugh. BLK attacks deal 10% more damage. That's good for an LM1. But the LM2 is generally the strongest legend materia someone has available to them, and this one sucks. Magic plus 1% for each hit dealt with BLK attacks that deal ice damage, up to plus 30%. It's awful. Edea has a really good Legend Sphere section, but junk Legend Materia, and it makes her essentially undiveable. Unfortunate. And Raijin finally increases lightning damage dealt by 10%. And Raijin attack plus X% for each hit dealt with monk abilities up to... Nobody cares, because that's an iterative stat buff, and it sucks. So no Legend Dive for Raijin either. So Zell and Laguna. Specifically Laguna. Laguna has an excellent Legend Dive. Now we move over to the banners themselves. Laguna's Arcturus, which we've already seen is plus ice damage gun, which is awesome. 7 area of effect. Ugh. Ice non-elemental range physical damage, Imperial Ice, self attack and resistance plus 30%. Quick cast 1 and gain high... Alright. This usually doesn't happen, so I'm going to verify this. Quick cast 1 and high quick cast when using ice elemental damage abilities. Let's see if that's really true. I'm willing to bet that this is just quick cast upon quick cast. Could be wrong, though. Could be wrong. High quick cast 1 and grants ice high quick cycle. Well, I was wrong in my estimate, but we did prove that the description here itself is wrong. So this is grants high quick cast, and then grants high quick cast when using ice elemental damage abilities. I'm not finding flaws here. This is actually an amazing USB on someone with an amazing Legend Dive who comes native with a plus elemental 6-star relic. This is a fantastic, fantastic start to the banner. This is S tier stuff right here. It's high quick cast and also gives high quick cast. Yes. Every time you use an ice damage ability. And I think we can prove this wrong too. I think it gets even better. I think it's lightning tier. Better than lightning. It is. Grants high quick cast 1 after using an ice attack. This is different than using an ice damage ability. Yes, it is similar to Lightning's USB in almost every single way, except it's ice, and its area of effect on cast. This means that even if you use an ice soul break, it will also keep granting you high quick cast. Well, if this said high quick cast 1 after using an ice ability, then it wouldn't. This is actually just straight up better than lightning, I would say. Because that attack and resistance plus 30% is more than the attack plus 30% that lightning gets. This is phenomenal. Oh, it's Imperil. Okay, there's our big difference. It's Imperil versus Lightning, which is okay. Lightning only gets plus 30% attack because she has an X mode. There's no real, like, functional difference. It's just a unique status. Okay, so the attack and resistance plus 30% exists outside the status. It's not unique. So it will not stack with attack and resistance plus 30% buffs. Off the top of my head, I'm having trouble thinking of any. So Imperil Ice versus N-Ice. I don't know. You're going to be using him on a nice team. Honestly, I'm going to rate Imperil higher here. If you're not using him on an ice team and you're trying to run like your entire offense through Laguna as you would Lightning. So here's the difference. Lightning, because she buffs herself instead of buffing the party, which is essentially what Imperil Ice does, Laguna doesn't make as good of a single guy, you know? The eloquence is just oozing from me tonight. Yeah, this is actually a perfect track to come up. The ending theme for Final Fantasy VIII. So, honestly, huge fan. Huge fan of this. That's better than I thought it was. Edia's USB up next. 10 single target ice dark magic damage and ice self magic and resistance plus 30%. Spend two uses to develop cast which abilities when ability can. Right, this is we have a like actual thing that we call this now. Best ending theme? I agree. I agree, Strider. Eyes on Me's fine. It's, you know, it's one of those things. But I like the Final Fantasy theme as well as the actual ending theme for Final Fantasy VIII that occurs later in this track. So look out for that. So Edea, we get, it's called, we're calling it ability double, but dual cast Witch is fine. Anyway, this is I believe a carbon copy of Shantoto's version, except hers is lightning, while Edea's is ice, and it's good. It's really, really good. I think the issue here, how Edea USB would do against Femir, I'm guessing really, really good. Here's the issue. Edea doesn't have the quick cast that Shantoto has available to her. So you really are just hard casting mini soul breaks every turn instead of Shantoto quick casting soul breaks every turn, which is a kind of a big difference. Shantoto's Legend Dive and her play rough mode really is what makes Shantoto the beast potato of lightning that she is. Edea, I don't think has the same benefit. She is a slow witch, yes. It's still good. It's still good, yeah. It may be a good idea to use both the 4-star and 5-star together with this. Just to speed up those super slow witch attacks. Plus, that'll help you save on hones too, since you'll be splitting time between two abilities instead of going all in like Shantoto does on the 5-star. Also, Edea's BSB is already very strong. USB would be a smaller upgrade than you might expect. That's true, and I think that was the initial assessment I had on this. Because this is so not nearly as good as Shantoto's is, and the fact that Edea's Maelstrom BSB is so phenomenally good as it is, I don't think I would even be that happy to pick this up. Oh yeah, that's a good one, Escherlock. Bringing Allegro Komodo would be a nice buff. That would help. As far as math crafting, the USB versus BSB don't have anything for you. But I do know that. Let's put it this way. So she dual cast Witch, uses 2 ability uses of the 5-star Witch ability. That gives us a 16.2 over 2.6 seconds. That is essentially a only slightly weaker soul break every single turn. Good lord, that just puts into perspective how disgusting Shantoto is. And let's say, okay, we have 16.2 over 2.6 seconds versus Edea's Burst Soul Break, which is a 12.0 over 1.65. Yeah, I actually think I'm going to side with the Burst here. That 1.1 cast time is actually fairly significant, and then you have Edea's Burst Soul Break itself, which is stronger than a cast of a double cast of Abyssal Shards. So Edea's Burst Soul Break takes less hones, does basically equivalent amounts of damage. Yep. All right. I'm actually on board with the burst here. So there's our 2 USBs. We've started out roaring out of the gate with Laguna's, and Edea's is fine. Like, I mean, being equivalent in damage output to her BSB is not exactly a poor place to be, you know? It's more just speaking to the strength of her BSB, that her BSB is on par with the USB. Yeah, we're gonna get to the LMR. But for now, we'll do the 4. Oh god, the banner format just hurts here. Laguna, if you were on a better banner format, I would actually be considering a draw here. Though Lulu USB plus Edea BSB has me with a pretty strong ice team. Anyway, Kyros BSB, Dark Ice Physical, Party Attack and Magic plus 30%. So he's a buffing ninja support. What are your commands? Ninja Cast Time, Armor Breakdown, Mental Breakdown. You are a support character. But you don't have Support 5. Curious, if you had Support 5, this would be different. Because this buff would actually make you viable in a Magicite situation where all you are right now is a hybrid, where you buff on entry and you debuff with commands. And the commands aren't even that good. They're armor and mental instead of power and magic. I'd prefer to get power and magic as my the stuff you always have to have, like with your burst commands, and then branch out, whether with armor or mental or full, or, you know, stuff like that with ability slots. Of course, you can't use full or affliction break. So I'm actually, yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. I don't like his kit. God, if he had support 5 though, that would, God, it would open so many doors. It's unfortunate. Well, you're never going to use Shantoto over Edea. Or you're never going to use Edea over Shantoto. They're 2 different elements. Shantoto's lightning while Edea's ice. It's not really worthy of comparison. Next up, Ward BSB. Earth and Earth, so he's an Earth Dragoon, huh? And no abilities to use with it. Which means the ability upgrade makes this BSB obsolete on launch. Yep. You would want an Earth Dragoon ability to go with this because these commands suck. We have a buffing command, but then you need a damage dealing command, and he doesn't have that. 2 times AoE with a shorter cast time for each successive use is not good enough. The 2 times AoE means it's a lower multiplier as well. So that sucks. Edea's BSB, already established, is one of the best bursts in the entire game, and that doesn't change anytime soon. Renoa's Ice Burst is fine. If there's any strength to it, it kind of furthers the theme of this banner as an ice banner. But, here. Now that we've gotten this far into the banner, might as well take a look at the list for another themed banner. So what this first banner has going for it is that it has a heavy ice theme, right? But it's got a lot of holes. We've noticed them already. None of those holes have anything to do with Laguna, but we have holes on here. So if we could find another ice banner, that would be great. And luckily there is one. It is a wee bit into the future, but December 21st isn't even that bad. That's going to be happening during or right before the next festival. So 2 months away. Is in Record Keeper, JP, Foresight, that's not even that far. But this has a pretty stellar and more all-around better ice banner going for it. So I'd look to this instead if you're really desperate. And what's nice is at December 21st, that means the event will at least last until December 31st, probably longer because festival time. We will have access to knowing what is on the what's on the festival banners themselves. And if this is the Elemental Chain Festival that some people are theorizing that it might be, then we'll be able to compare this against those at the same time. So if you're looking for an ice banner, probably this Final Fantasy VIII banner is not the one for you. So there we go, getting out of our burst section. Unfortunately, the only BSB with a real future here is Edia's. Renoa's is passable. Ward sucks, and Kyros is fine. It's just I'm not a real big fan of the character. What I've seen from his ability pool and the commands. I'm not a big fan of the single hit commands for armor and mental breakdown. Anyway, so 1 out of 3 hits here and 1 out of 2 here. So let's take a legend materia and see if we can get at least some kind of redemption on what we've seen at the top of the banner from the legend materia relics. President's Style. I love that translation. I hope that stays. But it won't, because Global can't get cool things like that. For the rest of the banner, we see that we only get minor resistance on the relics and not elemental damage. So I don't have to look at that anymore. Low chance of minor Imperial Ice when using machinist abilities. This is fine if you don't feel like legend diving Laguna. However, Laguna's 15% machinist damage with his LM1 will beat out this LMR, I believe, in total damage output, because you're looking at a chance for a 10% Imperial here, while the 15% machinist abilities that he gets on his LM1 is awesome, because machinist abilities, the damaging machinist abilities, the good ones, hit 6 times. So it's not like you're going to be capping with those. And if you are capping with those, then you probably don't care anyway. Because that's doing 60,000 damage. High quick cast, 60,000 damage a turn. That's gross. That's gross. So this LMR, good if you're not legend diving Laguna. But I feel like if I have Laguna's USB, I'm legend diving him. I think that's a foregone conclusion. Global translation is presidential casual. It fits. It fits. President's Style is still better, but at least presidential casual is fine. If everyone remembers what Laguna looked like in the game. Alright, Edia's LMR. Medium chance to self-quick cast 1 when using ice elemental damage abilities. This does make her USB better, but it also makes her BSB better. It makes her USB better more, because the cast times involved with her USB are 2.5 for the USB itself and 2.6 for the witch abilities. So that will help more than her BSB, which deals with 1.65 cast time. And what you're doing is you're halving those cast times with Quick Cast 1. Again, it doesn't improve the USB enough to bring it over the BSB in my eyes. So I don't know. I'm running into a lot of blanks on this banner for me personally. I'll look at it in overall afterwards. Renoa, Legend Materia, up to small magic based on number of black magic abilities used. This LMR sucks. The Relic sucks. Next, Kiros Guys, Super Soul Break, Enemy Hyper Break. It's okay. It's okay for a super. Nothing special though. Ward's Bandana. Oh, another one of these, huh? Attack 50% Guts. I have Gladios. I do not use it. I have Minfilias. I use it a lot. Minfilia has support 5 though, so she can use this and then start entrusting people. Ward and Gladio don't have nearly the capability of Minfilia with her ability pool. So really it boils down to the ability pool, and Ward definitely doesn't have this, so I can't recommend this Super Soul Break at all. Adia's Sorcerer's Gown, Time Crush, 5 single target dark, and Imperil Dark. It's actually not bad. Well, with the ability upgrade, these kind of supers, which I think I've gone over a little bit in the past, actually gain a little bit of value, because Adia can be a legitimately good dark mage by using this as well as Memento Mori and Dark Zone, because Dark Zone turns into, I believe, the highest multiplier 5-star mage ability. Really hits hard, really hard. So that, in conjunction with this, actually makes it a passable super. Definitely the best on the banner. But it's still a super, and it's not really, you know, it's not what defines the banner. It's just a consolation prize, or not a good consolation prize. But it's only a good consolation prize if there are good targets to actually aim for on the banner, and unfortunately, there is not on this banner. We have Adia's BSB. Adia's LMR is fine because she has a bad legend dive. So this helps her out a little bit. And Adia is a good character, so helping out someone with a bad legend dive is actually kind of nice. And then we close everything off with Luna's USB. Otherwise, it's not really that great. If there's something to be said for it, it's that it's an ice-themed banner, and there is a better ice banner coming in the not-so-distant future. So, anyone else have any other words? Actually, I will review chat in a second. I need a drink because my throat is getting really hoarse at this point. Oh, man. I missed some of Rem Pass through the plane. So Will says there's a better rate banner, so I'll just wait for that. It's true. I'll go take a look at that after this. I did get lemon tea. Iced, though. I think Shadow summed it up the best. Laguna is insane. Rest of the banner is bad, though. Other than Adia's BSB. Sparkling, no. Deuce says Bard 5, as well as Black Magic 5. Bad for people that already have a DBSB, yeah. Okay, well, moving on to Banner 2, which I remember reviewing as being the better banner. Because we're starting out with Zell's USB, which is awesome. Dragon Claws, which I already said earlier in the preview, is a plus fire fist weapon. Burning Duel, 0 cast time. That's nice. Is that really 0 cast time? So the stuff I went on about during Zell's Legend Dive is actually irrelevant because you can't reduce the cast time on something that casts instantly. 12 single target, that'll be nice for chains. Fire non-elemental and fire self-attack and defense plus 30% and use Burning Claws when critical hit is dealt. Burning Claws is a chase, which is 4 times single target, so that's super good for chains. Unfortunately, we don't have access to the fire chain at the moment, so that's nice. Thanks, DNA. But anyway, it's really good. It's really good. It comes on a self-sufficient relic, which is a 6-star fist weapon for him to use, which works perfectly with his Legend Dive. If there's a problem here, is that use Burning Claws when a critical hit is dealt. So he's got a crit. And though fist weapons have a higher hidden natural modifier that allows them to crit more often, that's not enough. You want your chase to be guaranteed. So how do you get there? You get there with this. You get there with Zell's LMR, which is start the battle with critical 50% for a period of time, which I believe is 25 seconds. Well, that sucks. It sucks that Zell's USB's strength is hidden behind an LMR. And if you are unable to get his LMR with his USB, then you got to get that crit from another source. And there's one that immediately comes to mind, but it's not good enough as far as I'm concerned. You can make that determination on your own, but I'll go take a look at it right now. We're on abilities already. Monk gets a ability called Burning Rush. Shouldn't be too far off. I believe we get it in the Final Fantasy III event for Refia's USB. So, Eiko is pretty good, yes. It's probably the best source of crit that Zell could have. My issue with Burning Rush is as a low multiplier. It doesn't get much better. I don't think it gets any better. Oh no, it does. It gets a little better. It's at 2.88. But the low multiplier is supposed to be made up by the plus 20% critical chance. So you get a 20% critical chance in addition to him using a fist weapon. So I don't know. I don't actually know what the hidden modifier is. Yeah, Zell BSB gives crit, but you don't want to use Zell's BSB with his USB. Zell's BSB is non-elemental, so that means that it means you're requiring an entrust to Zell in order for his USB to be any good. That's bad. That's a bad way to play. That's an overcommit for something. So 20% critical chance plus the hidden modifier from a fist weapon over 4 attacks is not a good enough chance, as far as I'm concerned, to get... All he needs is 1 crit, and then the chase happens, right? That's not good enough. So what are you going to do from there? You need external sources. As has been said a couple times in chat, Eiko is probably the best. I was very much interested in picking up Eiko's BSB off of the gem selection banner because I really think, I really like having a physical buffing healer. And that would be nice. I don't count Cloud's RW as being valid because the only fights that I really care about the difficulty level of would be Magicite fights and all the other fights in the game that don't have access to external RWs. So Zell and his USB are phenomenal. They do a ton of damage, better than Refia, if you can imagine that. You know, with how much I talk up Refia. Refia with her USB and BSB can't actually contend with Zell and his USB. Unfortunately, Zell and his USB aren't as simple and less complicated to use than Refia's. If you do have Zell's LMR to go with his USB, then you don't have to worry about any of that, because by starting with a 50% crit rate, you pretty much, over 4 attacks with fires within, you're probably going to crit with one of them. And if you don't, well, that sucks, but... The LMR solves a lot of concerns, and so does using Eiko's USB, or BSB, as your healer. Anyway, it's really good. It's really good, but it's not as simple as just being really good. I guess I went into a deep dive into why that is, but... Next up, we get a Musk Stick, which is RS small lightning damage up, so it's a essentially blank weapon. It's an OSB with multiplier skills with number of monk abilities used. Obviously meant to be used with his BSB. You use his BSB, his command 1 is a monk ability, I believe. And you use that, and then you use the fully charged command 2 after using his command 1 6 times, and then then you use his OSB. So it's like having, consecutive OSBs cast. The problem here is Raijin's BSB isn't really that practical. It's fun. It's fun as hell. The last time I used it was in the Nemesis fight. During... Jeez, what was that? Second anniversary in spring? So... The thing about OSBs is they're fantastic as long as they're paired with something powerful. And I don't believe Raijin's BSB gets there, so what about his Super Soul Break, which I do believe appears on this banner. It does, which is good. It's part of what makes the banner as good as it is. But then you're using a Lightning Non-Elemental OSB. Number of hit scales with number of monk abilities used. If you're using his Super Soul Break, then you're not using any monk abilities. Well, that was a joke sketch. I can go into a fight and use it whenever I want and say that I used it. I'm saying the last time I used it seriously in order to help me beat content was Nemesis. And it was fantastic there. Really was. But that was the last time. Zell. BSB1. The thing that is non-elemental and doesn't really fit with his USB at all other than the critical 50% overlap. So what you're using Zell's BSB for at this point is some light zero cast time damage and party critical 50%. Worth it? Hey, if it's how you get critical 50% to him to use his USB, I suppose so. Not optimal. Not even close. But you do what you gotta do. As a non-elemental BSB, actually pretty good when used by itself. I disagree, Will. I don't think that you can place Master or Zell above each other because Zell is a party buffing non-elemental monk, while Master is a singular damage dealing non-elemental monk. Zell could potentially contribute more damage to a party with his BSB than Master could, for instance. Because if you add in all the extra damage that your party is getting from the critical 50% buff, I'm pretty sure that will cause him to exceed, as long as you're using the right party. But anyway, it's a plus fire fist weapon at least. 5-star, so it's not nearly as cool as the Dragon Claw's 6-star, but it's still good. So that's actually a pretty good BSB, just strange that they decided to take Zell in a completely different direction with his USB. So there's only a slight overlap in usefulness with between his BSB and USB. Next up, we have the aforementioned Raijin BSB. Raijin Staff, which is plus Lightning Hammer. 8 single target, lightning, non-elemental physical damage, and lightning burst mode. I already talked about it. You charge up with command 1, use charges on command 2. It's awkward, a little weird, not all that practical, but it's a thing. I wouldn't be too thrilled to get this anymore. The only time I use Raijin, and honestly, I do use Raijin a fair amount, but it's for his Super Soul Break, not his BSB. I can't find a good reason to use his BSB anymore. I gave a shot trying to do Bismarck with Raijin and his BSB the other, like last week. It did not end well. It's not okay. I suppose it could be fine for a non-30-second clear situation, since you have more time And the command 1 gives you staying power and a damage that, you know, you take a lot of damage from. Bismarck can dish it. So I guess it could be useful for just slow clearing. That's okay. And here we have more lightning from Laguna's BSB, and we talked about that on the previous banner. I seriously wish this was on the previous banner. It would improve it greatly, better than a lot of those BSBs we were looking at, especially with Renoa's BSB being there. They went for the ice theme instead of staying on Laguna theme, and they should have stayed on Laguna theme because Laguna is actually a good character. While Renoa before her CSB was not, and her BSB too was included in that. But anyway, 8 single target random lightning non-elemental and Imperil lightning burst mode. This is already a passable burst entry, random Imperil lightning, and it gets better with the commands, which is nice. Coochie Coochie treatment. 4 times random lightning non-elemental and 7% chance to inflict paralysis or silence. You will probably not be using this command very much if you get this BSB, unless you don't feel like investing it all in machinists, but you should. I know the strength of this BSB lies in his command 2, which is a 1 single target range lightning non-elemental physical damage with a self instacast machinist 2. This is great. You use this and then you instacast 2 Tempest Snipes, then you instacast 1 Tempest Snipe, and then you instacast this ability again, then you instacast a Tempest Snipe, and you just alternate, carrying those 2 charges of instacast back and forth. He will do a lot of damage. He will do a lot of damage with this. We all know how instacast works, and how lovely that has been. So we got a good BSB, and a not so good BSB, and now we have Fusion's good BSB. One of the best choices that we had on the Crystal Tower selection banner. It is a plus wind thrown weapon. Good in its own right, you know. There are a lot of ninjas out there that like thrown weapons. And with one of the ninja magic abilities being wind, the other being fire, this is a fantastic relic for any ninja. Especially for Fusion itself, though. 0 cast time, 5 area of effect, wind, enemy and magic and resistance minus 40%. The fact that 0 cast time is what improves its DPS to the point where it's actually usable in Magicite dungeons, except, you know, even despite the fact that it has magic and resistance minus 40%, which doesn't really count for much in Magicite dungeons. The problem here is that by itself, probably doesn't really do that much damage. You could run Fujin with this and Raging Storm versus Golem, and it'd probably be fairly effective. But the most of your damage is going to be coming from Raging Storm. But that changes if you have Fujin Super Soul Break, which gives her a single target magical wind damage and wind, which combined with the 0 cast time entry of this and the fast cast 4-hit black magic command for wind that she has with this, she actually starts doing a considerable amount of damage with that. So you can move Raging Storm to somebody else, like Light or Onion Knight, for instance. Which this is, if you watched any of my Golem videos, this is exactly what I did, and it's really awesome. It's really awesome. And on that note, Fujin Super Soul Break does appear on this banner. Next up, Aura LMR, which is and Wind, which is also on this banner. So that is the BSBs. Definitely better than the previous. So I'd say that what Zell is to fire is pretty damn good. Raijin OSB don't really care that much about it. but where this banner definitely differs from the first banner is that the BSB section is much better. We have Zell, Laguna, and Fujin, who are all BSBs that survive the ability upgrade. Because this critical 50% and 0 cast time on entry is something that's going to be hard to get rid of as far as its usefulness is concerned. Laguna's is meant to be used with abilities. 2 times of Instacast Machinist means you want to use Tempest Snipe with this. So when bursts work well with abilities instead of relying on their commands exclusively, that's when you're going to see bursts that will survive the ability upgrade. And Fujin's BSB is just it's just good. It's just good. It was better before Magicite, but it's still good now, and that just speaks to its strength before. And outside of Magicite. This is just disgusting outside of Magicite. Alright, next into the Legend Materia, we have Zell's LMR. Already mentioned it, and already mentioned how pivotal it is for using his USB. So, pretty awesome to pick this up, if you have any intention on going in on Zell at all. Next up, we have Raijin's LMR, which has a 19 lightning resistance. But for the rest of the banner, every footnote means elemental damage up, and that's important, and that is a lot of the reason why this banner is actually potentially worth pulling. So Raijin's LMR. Medium shuts the self quick cast 1 when using monk abilities. This is clearly meant to be used with his BSB. Because giving Raijin the ability to cast faster while using his BSB means that you can accelerate towards that 6 stack detonate faster. Is it good enough? I believe a medium chance means 30%. I suppose we can go check that. 35% to quick cast 1 after using a monk ability. Not really good enough. Not really good enough. But still fine with Raijin's BSB. I guess the problem here is that it's fine with Raijin's BSB. And does it make Raijin's BSB good enough to use? Probably not. So that's probably a bit of a miss. And does not work with his ability to use his Super Soul Break at all, because it's only when using monk abilities. Next we have Fujin's Bracer, which is a plus wind damage bracer. So that's really nice. Great relic. And start battle with M Wind, which is fantastic for Fujin. Fujin can use that with her BSB if you don't have her super. She can use that with Raging Storm, the 5-star wind ability for ninjas. Or she can just Wrath or get entrusted to and use her OSB if you've got that. This is Fujin's one of the characters that really benefits from having the N-Wind Legend Materia. Awesome. Love it. Next up, we have the Super Soul Break section. Zell's Super Soul Break. Air Guys. 8 single target physical and self-critical 25%. Well, this is really old. This is really, really old. This was one of the best Super Soul Breaks in the entire game when it first came out, but that was a very long time ago. Over a year ago. Now it's just plus 10 attack for Zell. Yeah. But I will not say the same about the next 2 Super Soul Breaks. A lot has been said about them. They are 2 of the best supers in the game. Raijin's specifically, Party Instacast 1, Guts, and High Regen, is a small package of fantastic benefits. I dish on High Regen a lot, but I don't dish on High Regen when it comes with Last Stand. And it does in this situation. And not only does it come with High Regen and Last Stand together, which are a phenomenal combination. It also comes with Cast 1 to Party, which is probably one of the best party buffs in the game. So that's awesome. And then add on to the fact that this is plus Lightning Light Armor. You have one of the best pulls for a Super Soul Break in the entire game. It's just awesome. It's really just awesome. And has played a role in a few of my Match of Sight parties. Next up, we have Fusion's Jacket, which, for many of the same reasons, but more damage focused. Fusion can really benefit from the M-Wind status. It's what makes her Legend Materia so strong. She really benefits from M-Wind because of her OSB and BSB and how well they use those. But the fact that it's single target damage and 0 cast time means that it's a fantastic amount of damage by itself. So you could and I have, for my 30-second Golem clear, entrust to Fusion and cast this multiple times for an extremely high DPS output. And add that onto the fact that it is on Fusion, who uses Raging Storm, and Fusion's Jacket itself is plus wind damage light armor. These are exactly what you want to see in the Super Soul Break section of a banner. As long as we keep on getting Super Soul Breaks, it's supers like this that kind of make you miss supers being on banners sometimes. When I do the distant previews and I see, oh, this Legend Materia sucks, or only half of these Legend Materia good, I think to myself, God, I wish there was like one or two of those supers on the banner instead that I would prefer as a consolation. Because they're really just that good and desirable. Yeah, the USB moniker was something that I coined originally for Arc and his Super Soul Break 2 because it had 3 solid effects on it. And that was back during the era where USBs that had a utility focus were like Aeriths, which were only 3 actually useful effects plus Shelga. So I coined calling it a USB because Edge's Super Soul Break had 3 solid effects while Aerith's USB had 3 solid effects. So it was as good as USBs. Now we're in the era where USBs actually generally have 4 good effects on them, so they do beat out these, but they're still the best Super Soul Breaks in the game. The ones that have 3 solid effects like Raijan's do. We'll call them Super Soul Break Pluses. Four effects is useless, or 4 effects doesn't mean anything if one of the effects isn't worth anything. So Aerith's USB effectively has 3 effects. 0 cast time, Medica, and HP stock, right? Yeah, oh my god, guys, Jesus Christ. I said Raijin, and I said Arc. I know Edges has 4 effects. For the love of God. Am I speaking a different language? Oh, Edge's Super Soul Break, right. God, why didn't I think of that one? Will, yeah, it does. No, I did not, Merc. It's when resistance. So this is incorrect. You're right. Yeah, it's wind resistance. Well, that stinks. Yes, Light, I did. Oh, you mean the upcoming? In global? No. I only review a week at a time, and the event next week is Final Fantasy VIII, not Final Fantasy IX. No, this is, these relic lists have been known to have errors. I mean, we caught one up here, but this one happens strangely often. This only says quick cast 1 and gain high quick cast when using ice elemental damage. Attacks, not abilities. So this is kind of very wrong here because it's high quick cast versus quick cast. And it's damage attacks instead of damage abilities. So we got another one here. Whatever. At least we have Will to thank for catching what is actually a pretty big mess up. There's a huge difference between minor wind resistance and 20% wind damage up. Okay, so this banner is definitely better than the first. Is it good enough to pull in this... it's kind of a lame duck period for banners because the format's going to shift soon away from as many supers as it has and giving us more 6 stars instead. Is it good enough? Probably not, because only one of the 6 stars is any good. I think in order for this to measure up against the new age of banners that will be coming in a few weeks, it would have to have 2 good 6 stars, because it's not like it's a given that those banners in the future will have 3 good 6 stars. I mean, most of them don't. One's usually at least a partial miss. So these banners could potentially compete with them if they had 2 good, but this one doesn't. It's just Zell's, which is fantastic, and Raijin's, which isn't. BSB section's nice. 3 out of 4. LMR section's nice, 2 out of 3. And the Super section is nice, 2 out of 3. I think it's altogether a pretty good banner. But here's what I want to do at this point, now that I've looked over both of these banners, is kind of jump into the future a little bit. I could do that Elgate, yes. I will get to that after I go into the next Final Fantasy VIII event. Which, granted, I have ETA'd for February 1st, so it's going to be a little while. But, ugh. Squall's OSB being here is cool, but Squall's USB is bad.
Thanks for the preview.
Thank you very much, Jimbo. Lagoon and Selfie USBs are very good. Anyway. Well, of course I am Negators. Just a week in advance. Not quite yet. I believe that's about a month from now. Tactics Advance. Anyway, this is the next Final Fantasy VIII event after this. Up until this point, No other banner was quite like this. This is during a banner format where we have 4 6-stars. And this is one of those lucky, maybe not banners that has no super soul breaks. So 4 6-star, 5 bursts, and 5 LMR. But really the defining feature of this banner, I believe, personally, is 4 USBs, elementally focused USBs, and all of them are plus elemental damage of the weapon type. So Renoa's USB is a plus ice damage thrown weapon. Irvin's Antares is a plus fire damage gun. Fusion's Crystal Cross is a plus wind damage thrown weapon, and Zell's Dragon Claws, as we've seen, is a plus fire damage fist weapon. And they're all pretty good. Irvin's definitely pulls up the rear. But once you take Irvin's out of the equation, that's our... I'm not even going to call that a near miss because it's still really good. It's just not on the same level as Renoa's, who is a just gross USB. Fusion's, which is really powerful. And also Fusion's is for a very poorly represented magical wind damage character. And Zell's, which we've talked about, is really good as long as you have the LMR. And yes, the LMR does occur on this banner. It really is the elemental weapons here that really pull the room together. And then the BSB section is Zell's BSB2, so this is fire focused. Irvin's BSB2, which is fire focused. So they're turning Irvin into, well, they're doing Irvin a big favor and turning him into an elemental damage dealer, or a sharpshooter, which, you know, kind of makes sense considering what Irvin is. And then Renoa's BSB, which definitely a sore spot on this, but the only sore spot that we've seen so far. And Adia's BSB and Fusion's BSB being the other two. So really, the only actual miss, if you don't have any dupes, is Renoa's BSB2. And then we get to the Legend Materia area. Low chance to minor Imperial Fire when using sharpshooter abilities. Well, I'm going to look at Irvin's Legend Materia at the moment, because if this is anything similar to Laguna's, it's not. X% chance, so a 30% chance to quick cast 3 after using a sharpshooter ability. I think I'd use the Minor Imperil. If I'm being perfectly honest. Because the thing about his USB is that it gives quick cast sharpshooter abilities. So granting himself further quick cast on top of that is So at that point, I'm just gonna say, all right, I'm gonna go in and all in on Imperil at that point. But anyway, a lot of its strength is in the attack and magic minus 50%, so that's kind of poop. But at the end of the day, you are getting a plus fire damage gun, which is actually kind of useful for characters like Balthier, who is definitely one of the better fire damage dealers. A tier, most likely. But honestly, Renoa, Fusion, Zell are the headliners here. Not Irvin. Anyway, Legend Materia. Renoa's stinks. Fusion and Zell, we looked at those already, and we know that those are good. And Adia's is fine. When used with her BSB or USB. Doesn't matter. So, being here with her BSB is fine. Yeah, because Balthier's a machinist, he doesn't need to be using a ranged weapon. So yeah, Gladio OSB or C for OSB would be better, or C for USB. But it's, 10 attack difference, whatever. 15 attack, whatever. So anyway, this is actually a really good banner. We don't know. This I got ETA'd for February. It may not stand the test of time. There are a lot of banners that are coming out these days. In the future, that have a stronger focus on elemental weapons and armor, which is great because this RS crap needs to end. So maybe this banner isn't as good as it seems to us, but at the very least, it's going to be a better draw than I would say both of the banners that we're dealing with right now. Just because of the banner format and how each banner has one really big hit 6-star, but one miss 6-star. And then a whole lot of not so great stuff below them. Not a whole lot. Second banner has some decent stuff. It's got a good spread. I wouldn't fault anyone for pulling on the second banner. First banner would elicit some questions. I'd grill them. Make sure that they knew what they were getting into. And I think it was Elgate